Well, hey, it never fails. Someone always asks me, "Hey, Heather, what about?" And honestly, that's where the best conversations begin. I'm Heather Shaw, certified functional nutrition coach and Pilates educator. After walking through my own wellness journey, hello, 80-pound weight loss, I now light the path through my program, The Plan, complete with protein forward recipes, hormone know how, and a lifestyle for longevity. This is the Exquisite House Pilates and Wellness podcast. Hey, Heather, what about? We're diving into all things movement, menopause, metabolism, and more, especially the stuff no one warned us about. I tell it like it is, but always with a wink and a hug. No perfection required, just consistency, curiosity, and better questions, served up with a side of sass. Well, hey, I'm so glad that you are joining me today for a very special podcast. This episode is all about the plan. I've had lots of people inquire about the plan and want to know kind of what it is. So we're going to take a deep dive. This is Mr. Exquisite House, Nathan Unger, otherwise known as my better half. And we are actually in my home. We are in the old studio. The space that we're in is where I trained people for 2.5 years in my home before opening our studio that we now have in Midlothian. And I knew I wanted to do this episode because I knew it was year end, the beginning of the new year. People start like having panic stations about wanting to get healthy again. We've all eaten enough junk food and fun and candy canes and things that we're like, oh my gosh, it's the new year. We've got to like get back to normal. And you know, there are those that have done that. That's great. And then there are those who are like, oh my gosh, what I do. So Nate and I were talking on the way home last night about this episode and what I wanted to cover. And he started asking questions. And if you've ever met Nate and got to know him, he is the king of 20 questions. My dearly departed mother would call him Mr. 20 Questions. And he asked some really great, poignant questions. And I said, you know what? You need to interview me because this conversation is very natural. So with all that said, I'm going to let Nate kind of lead the interview today so that you guys can kind of hear what it sounds like from the perspective of me talking to a client. So there you go. Lead us, Nate.
Thank you, by the way, for allowing me to out myself on the medical issues that I have, because it's not always easy to talk about those things. I get really defensive whenever it comes to things like weight. And I really do appreciate that. And so a lot of these questions are going to be personable. They're personal to me.
Sure.
So I just wanted to go ahead and get started. We'll jump right into it.
So I think part of what I want to emphasize too, as we're talking about the plan, I was not, and I've said this before, I am not someone who's been an athlete all my life. I was not an exerciser all my life. I did swim in high school, but following that spent many, many years not really being healthy. And then I would go kind of be on a train of like, oh, I got to get healthy. And then I would fall off the wagon. So for me to have sustained an 80-pound weight loss since, 2022 has been pretty significant. And, you know, when we moved to Virginia from LA, I was at my heaviest. My mom had passed. There was a lot of stress happening in our lives. Both of us kind of went through a lot of those kind of unhealthy periods. And, you know, the thing that I think sets me apart from anybody else that someone would work with in a functional nutrition capacity as a coach is that I do understand the struggle. There's a lot to it, and we're going to dig into that as Nate goes on. But I also want you to know, like, both of us in our wellness journeys have definitely had to address the underlying medical conditions that occur after a long time of being unhealthy.
Now great, because that's my first question. But believe it or not, I did a quick chat GPT of some of the top underlying causes of weight gain. And here they are. It could be hormonal imbalances or thyroid issues, current medications if you're taking any medications, and the biggest thing that kind of stuck out to me that I kind of look at and go, oh, I think this is me, is lifestyle factors like chronic stress and poor sleep. And I think that's a big deal. So what I feel like I'd like to go on the plan Can you tell me about the plan? I don't know much about it. I hopefully it's not one of these one size fits all type of diets that you see out there. Oh, here comes
Fricky.
She's interested too. She wants Papa to lose some weight as well.
So, the plan is it's basically a functional nutrition program. There are 3 tracks to it. We have our full program, which is an 18-week program. We have our 8-week reset, which is kind of our entry point, if you will, into the plan. And then we have our quick start program. The 18-week program encompasses the 8-week reset and then a little bit more. And that is really for someone probably like yourself. And we talked about this last night, like we will have you on that track until you reach your goal. And that goal isn't really defined by a number on the scale. For me, it's more about health markers. When people come in to see me and they set up a wellness consultation, we usually do about a 60-minute plus, give or take, wellness consultation. We look at what your latest labs are. I like stuff that's usually within a 6-month time period. So I'm looking at your lipid panel. I'm looking at your thyroid function. I'm looking at your sex hormones. And so I know some of your underlying health conditions. For you, I'm going to be looking at testosterone level, and I'm going to be looking at your sleep quality. So those things I know can be a little bit disruptive, especially for men. For women, we're looking at obviously sex hormones, where they are in that peri to postmenopausal journey. If they're younger, then we're definitely focused on what their endocrine system is doing. So the endocrine system, including the thyroid. The thyroid really is a driver of metabolism. So if we see dysfunction there, we know that we're going to see some what we call slow response to weight loss. And really, when we're working with someone who has a pre-existing health condition that impacts their metabolism, like thyroid, like PCOS, like menopause, like low testosterone, or some sleep deprivation, we're going to be looking at really working on body composition and health as far as what we're putting in our body to nourish our body, more than we're really looking at the scale to shift. The byproduct of getting the body healthy is that the scale actually does shift.
Can you tell me a little bit about the period? Is it realistic to continue after the 8 or 18 week? Can I then start to take the things that I've learned and make them just a part of my life, just from this point onward, as far as just how to eat healthy, and all those types of things?
So we really hold your hand, especially through the 18-week program. With the quick start program, we're a little more loosey goosey, if you will. But I'm a little bit of a helicopter mom, so I like to make sure that people are feeling supported, that they're feeling healthy in their track that they're on. So with the 18-week program, we're going to do an 8-week reset, which is already part of our plan. And then we do a 2-week recalibration, and then we do another 8-week course. And that is actually the course that's dedicated to weight loss. That first 8 weeks is about reducing inflammation, getting the body healthy, getting you to a place where we call what's called in medical terms homeostasis, where there's a nice healthy balance to the body. Things are very happy. If we took your labs kind of at the start of the plan, and then we go through the 8-week reset, we're going to see probably a little bit of improvement, slight improvement in lipid panel. We're going to see a slight improvement in A1C. We're going to see a slight improvement in C-reactive protein. Typically, people through that 8-week reset, unless they're just not following it, we're going to see anywhere between a 10 and 20 pound weight loss through that. And if we have GLP-1 support through that, we're definitely going to see close to 20 pound weight loss. So that's very exciting for people, but for people who have a lot of weight to lose or think they have a lot of weight to lose, what we're looking at is that you're going to repeat everything from the recalibration, which is the 2 weeks, and then you're going to go into the last 8 weeks. We're going to repeat that cycle until you get to your goal. So for us, if I had 50 pounds to lose, we would see you'd probably lose 15 to 18 that first cycle. So we'd still have another couple cycles. And part of the reason for why we do an 18-week course is that first 8 weeks, we're just getting inflammation out of your body. We're just trying to get your body to rid itself of all of the junk that we've put in it. Yeah. And then we want that 2-week recalibration, because what we're doing is we're not necessarily letting you go buck wild, but what we are doing is we're saying, let's keep your calories a little bit higher than we'd want to do in a calorie deficit. And now that we know your triggers, we're going to just eat really healthy and let your body kind of figure out what's going on. If we lose a tremendous amount of weight, and this is scientifically studied, this is not unique to me, but if we lose a lot of weight and then we go back and try to just eat normal the way we did before, you're going to see an instant spike in weight. You're going to see an instant increase, but it's more because we haven't changed lifestyle. So that 2 weeks has the benefit of helping the body adjust. And then it also has the benefit of letting you adjust to your new way of eating. And I know you and I have talked about a lot in our own personal lives, like, eating in the food order, eating our green leafy fibrous stuff first, and then our protein, and then our carbs, and then, whatever sweet we're going to have, whether it's an apple or dessert. And that, putting that into practice in that 2 weeks, I kind of take the reins off and let people see if they can manage. And it's a good place to kind of figure out if they can maintain. And then from there, we go into the calorie deficit and really the science behind weight loss. So we're looking at the basal metabolic rate, where we're looking at total daily energy expenditure. We're looking at what we want your body to do and how we want to transform it, where we want your body composition to actually land. We're looking at all of those factors. And so your food plan and your fitness plan are designed around those health goals and also that science that we just mentioned. Yeah. So that is really the 18-week program, and that, the 2-week recalibration and then the 8-week calorie deficit portion that are at the end of that 18 weeks, that we repeat until we get to that goal.
Okay. You also answered my third question, which was around GLP-1. Would you be able to explain, kind of in a nutshell, what semaglutide, tirzepatides,
all that stuff does? So, a GLP-1 medication is a glucagon receptor agonist medication. So, and then we have like tirzepatide has a GIP, and then if you are on any other things, there's single GLP-1s. There's like, these have been around for 20 something years, and they're used in the diabetes management realm very readily. They've been heavily studied. I think people misunderstand that, when these medications first came out, they were like, oh, you're taking medication from a diabetes patient. Not really, because these were produced way before, and there's a myriad of options that are there. But those medications, what they do is they slow the emptying of the stomach. They increase insulin sensitivity, and then they also help your body utilize insulin efficiently. So if someone who has been unhealthy for a long period of time goes to the doctor, they'll typically see an increased HSCRP, which is your C-reactive protein. That's elevated because there's inflammation in the body. They're going to see an elevated A1C. So anything over a 5-ish is really where we want to start thinking about what are we putting in our body. And then they're going to look at their lipid panel. If their lipid panel, if they have high cholesterol, high LDL, high triglycerides, and their HDL is fairly low, then we're looking at what we call metabolic syndrome. It's where the body's not using insulin well, you're not metabolizing what you're putting in your body, and this is not this is just in general. And then we're also looking at what is that person consuming? Are they eating a lot of processed food? Do they have a sedentary lifestyle? All of those things contribute to those numbers. And the science doesn't lie. You cannot fudge that and go to the doctor and think, oh, I'm healthy. Yeah. You can be at a normal weight. And if you're not an exerciser, like if you went to my doctor, she'd put you on the body composition scale, and we would instantly see the ratio of adipose or fat tissue to lean tissue or muscle. And we want the lean tissue in each segment of like an in-body scan that's measured. We want that number to be as close to 100 as possible, because that means that we have enough muscle on the body for the body to use the food that we put in it efficiently. And that's another thing that people don't recognize, is that muscle is actually part of our endocrine system. It has hormone receptors. It works with us to process the insulin, to process the waste in our body. It helps just kind of make our body work the way it's supposed to, was created to work.
Right. And in some ways, I was reading also from ChatGPT as well,
Sure,
about a thing called biohacking. And you explained a little bit of that.
last night, yeah.
Yeah. As well as just a moment ago. Could you enlighten me on the kind of third and fourth components I like to refer to as the psychologic or the psyche a person has? I'm the type of person that's like, if I'm going to change my diet, I might be
A little bit downtrodden.
I might mistake hangry for
Yeah.
for being angry. And I also I'm not a gym bro.
Right.
So what does exercise, what does that look like?
Sure. So let's go into those two factors. First and foremost, the psychology behind weight loss. So I am not a therapist. I have great therapists that I refer out to, and I really believe that when someone is making a significant change and they've gone through a period of making unhealthy choices, and I don't need to tell you those choices. You already know those choices, whoever you are. Like, I'm not here to judge you. I'm here to support you. When we see those choices and I see someone wanting to sign up for like the 18-week program, my recommendation is going to be, I want you to see a therapist. I want you to talk to somebody. I want you to talk to a counselor, or go to like a 12-step, like, and here's the why. It's we all have these mental places where we have a healthy or unhealthy relationship to health and fitness. And health meaning eating healthy food, eating nourishing food. And I'm the first person to say, I've been in recovery for almost 21 years. I'm not someone who's going to sit here and say, it's just about putting healthy food in your body and why can't you make that choice? I'm not that person. I'm the first person who's going to say, I understand the mind games that happen with ourselves and the conversations we have with ourselves about like, I don't want to feel this right now. I'm going to go get a bag of candy. I don't want to feel this right now. I'm going to hit the drive-thru. I don't want to feel this right now. And what you're noticing in that pattern that I'm mentioning is that we're stuffing our feelings. We're feeding our feelings. And that is classic addictive behavior. Yeah. And it is also, we talked a little bit about that last night, in that it's about a dopamine hit. We want to find the feel-good hormones in the body. And that is very natural. It is very normal. And there's two types of ways that we feed that. We feed that through what's called edonic behavior and hedonic behavior. And so the edonic, or that starts with an E, that's the kind of like you're helping your great aunt clean out her house, or you're helping, you're going and volunteering at the Veterans Center, or you're feeding the homeless, or what, the things that don't have a tangible reward in and of themselves. You can't physically walk away with something, but in your person, you feel amazing and changed and transformed because you've done something to promote the greater good of life. Yeah. And then we have the hedonic, which we all know is the shopping, the social media, the smoking, the drinking, the food, the thrill seeking. Those are the hedonic, where we want to have this instant gratification, this instant high that comes with those behaviors and activities. And that has a very big like hit, and then it has a very big drop. Whereas the edonic has a kind of a slow kind of burn. So I would equate it to like a microwave and a crock pot. when you're looking at a slow cooker, it takes hours to cook food in that. And that's kind of how we are with the hedonic behaviors, is it takes a long time for those to hit sometimes. And then we have the hedonic, and you zap something in the microwave for a minute when you're, famished and you've got a quick and dirty meal. That's what you're looking at. And with that all of those kind of patterns, you'll see that a lot of people who have struggled, and even myself, when we've struggled with healthy eating patterns for a long time, we see that we're still struggling with that. It doesn't change just because the numbers on the scale have changed or because we've strung together a consistent amount of time. We're still going to have to address the underlying reasons of why we cope with things the way we do in that hedonistic pattern or those addictive patterns.
Yeah.
And then the other thing you asked about was fitness. And so with fitness, for someone who's a non-exerciser or is not a gym bro,
be me.
the thing that I always say is I lovingly joke that Pilates really is the gateway drug to exercise. And the reason that I say that is because Pilates is resistance training, and it helps with the small stabilizer muscles in the body. It's very core focused. And we also help the nervous system start to have the strength gains so that it understands how to work with the muscle. If we've been sedentary for a long time, we will get shakes regardless of what kind of exercise we're doing. If you're pushing your body to the end range, you're going to have a nervous system response. And that's what we typically call the Pilates shake. It's not unique to Pilates, but it is where the nervous system is being like, yo, I had an order for disco fries. You're making me work. And that's just part of our body saying, I've got to like get this together. Yeah. And that is a great response. We want that. And so if someone isn't an exerciser, absolutely come take Pilates. You can work out laying down. You can be on the mat. You can be on the reformer. You can be on the chair. You can be on the Cadillac, the ladder barrel. There's so many different apparatus that we use that really help someone learn to understand how their body moves and then to test that end range. Yeah. And then once you've gained a monicum of strength, then let's get you to the gym. Let's have you go see one of my favorite personal trainers. If you're in the Richmond area, go see her. She's going to give you a great workout, and she knows what I do so that we can do this together. And the other thing that I will say is that if someone wants to do strength training, please go for that by all means. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to have you do a lot of walking, because walking helps with hormonal balance. So if we're seeing that there's some insulin resistance, if we're seeing that there's some hormone balance from sex hormones, we're going to want you to walk. Lots of walking, at least 7,500 steps 6 days a week, because we want that activity level. We want the body to start to respond, and that helps with like stress. It helps with the hormones, it helps with sleep, it helps with all of those things. That activity level is key to getting the body back online to going into that homeostasis.
Yeah. I feel like I have really impacted from the words you spoke around hedonic or hedonic.
Sure.
And hedonic to me looks like kind of a transformational journey.
Yeah.
I won't be getting the immediate, However, when I do exercise afterwards, I feel invigorated.
Yes.
And that's wonderful. I want to be able to hang on to those things and motivate myself on that journey.
Yeah.
One of the things I also kind of appreciate, at least at Exquisite House, is that every person's body is different.
Yep.
In there. And there isn't a single instructor that's going to kind of call me out or give me that look like,
right,
you've got quite a beer belly going on.
Right.
No judgment zone.
No.
So I appreciate that. And I think that'll be good with the plan as well, because I like to kind of feel comfortable and not be in a place where I'm worried about, going to a Weight Watchers meeting or something and having people, feel disappointed and that my points were not great, or that one size fits all that we talked about earlier. Anyway, the other part that another question that I had was around the on the plan, if I manage to find some success, um, based off of other clients, and what can I see? Can I see like 15, 20 pounds? Like how much weight have you lost? How much, I don't name names, but how much, altogether weight has been shed on the
A
plant?
lot. So I want to backtrack a little bit. So I want to be clear, and I want to make sure that we're not bashing any other programs. And so what you were talking about is a little bit of why I send people or recommend that people go talk to a therapist. That whole shame around body image. And it's something that I think for our generation and above us is very common. The privilege of thinness and the element of thinness. I mean, we grew up in the era where we had all these wafy, supermodels and stuff. And that's not everybody's body. And your body's ideal is not necessarily going to be somebody else's body ideal. And so we have to come to terms with our sense of value and our sense of self is not tied to a number on a scale or a dress size. It's actually about that the person inside has some value in the world. Like, you actually make a difference in the world. And that's why we want to work on that with someone who is qualified to help you kind of get into that deep dive in your own psyche. The weight loss expectations that I have, if someone is following the plan, and what I mean by following the plan is I don't mean 100% of compliance. I would like 80 to 90% compliance is realistic to see loss. And it also really, again, depends on where someone is. I have people who have been on our Quick Start program, which is strictly the medical weight loss with the GLP-1 support through nurse practitioner supervision. Those folks, I have some that have reached their goal weight. I have some that are still on their journey, but I've consistently seen we're at about 10 pounds a month. Sometimes less. And it really, again, this is very personalized. So you can't take that number and measure that and say, I'm failing. I'm not meeting those numbers. I'm not meeting those marks. I'm doing the same program and I'm not doing that. Your body has all kinds of different stuff going on. I have people who have lost 2 pounds in a month, and then I've had people who've lost 20 pounds in a month. So it really, truly depends on what your underlying health issues are. If we're seeing compliance on the program and we're seeing that you're exercising and you're getting your steps in, and realistically we want about a half pound to a pound of weight loss per week. That's not a lot. So if you look at that over a 4-week period, that's 4 pounds. So I'm talking about 10 pounds a month, and realistically the guidelines for those medications are 4 pounds a month.
That feels realistic to me.
It is very realistic.
I could do something like that. Definitely. And I just want to have one final question. And it's the first thing that kind of pops into my mind as far as, and it might have to do a little bit with the kind of therapy that I'd be going through, but after visiting my doctor, and them telling me that, there's fat in the blood, what's equivalent to,
triglycerides, right?
And wanting to put me on statins, and essentially my internal dialogue going, there's got to be something else. I can fight this. What value cost? Now, of course, living with you, I see the value of the plan.
Right.
and in comparison to other weight loss programs or plans, it's very affordable. But maybe you can tell me a little bit value wise, kind of what I would get out of the cost. And even if you wanted to, don't provide any numbers. But
Well, I can provide numbers.
Oh, good. Okay, great.
The 18-week program is $2,250 for the whole thing, and that's not $22.50. That's
Yes.
$2,200. And that, if you run the numbers, if you look at any other program, whether it's online or in person, that's running about the same for that length of time. Medication. So if we're doing GLP-1 medication support, that is separate. We also have, in that 18-week program, we have the availability to do a continuous glucose monitor. So we can actually monitor how your body's responding to insulin. We have a real-time tracker that goes with that. So you take pictures of your food, and then that gets put into your app, and then it goes to me. And so I'm able to see what your body is or isn't doing. And that's not there so that I can go, oh, I see you had a burger with whatever and you didn't eat your salad first. That's there so that we can see. So, because science doesn't lie. The numbers behind what happens with your body are scientifically proven, and they show up in that kind of data. And that's really what we're looking for. We're looking at how insulin resistant are you, and what can we do, or what do we need to tweak, in that time frame. I like to introduce that after the first 8-week reset.
Yeah.
In that time frame, we're going to reintroduce some grains. We're going to reintroduce some things that potentially could be inflammatory to the body, and then we're going to get that real-time data and say, okay, this is not the time to do this yet. We're still too insulin resistant for this. We need to kind of tweak things. And I mean, I do that with my own body. I just had labs done at the beginning of the holidays, and I said to my doctor, I was like, we're not taking this as the measure of my health right now. We're going to give me some time, and we're going to retest, because for me, I don't diet at the end of the year. Yeah. I enjoy my life. And that's another thing that I think is really important is I purposely do not think it's a good idea to try to diet right during the holidays, or right during a special event, or try to crash course yourself into a dress for a wedding or anything like that. I think you have to create a lifestyle. This is a long-term thing. So for me, I'm not the right coach for somebody who's like, I just got to lose 20 pounds. You may need to do that, but at what cost? And that's the thing that, like we were talking about last night, is that this type of program is a lifestyle change. You're wanting to learn how to cook, how to eat, how to create that longevity in your body and have a good quality of life for a really long time. So that's where you were also mentioning the biohacking. Yeah. That's part of this, is that glucose monitor, in essence, is a little bit of biohacking. The other thing you're going to have is you're going to have weekly recipes. You're going to have check-ins with me. You have kind of lessons, lifestyle lessons. So I do a lot of guides of like how to eat out, what to do when you're going on a trip, how to do meal prep. Those are things a lot of people get very inspired by. They go viral online, on social a lot. But then when it actually comes down to it, people are like, what the heck do I do with this recipe? And so I have recipes that people are like, I do that on repeat all the time. And like we did the fall cooking class, and I still have people who attended that and were like, I use that all the time, at least once a week. And it's because the recipes are simple, they taste good, they're nourishing, and they're not feeling guilty eating them. They know they're staying on track with what their health and wellness goals are. Yeah. So that's that program. Our 8-week reset is $1,000. And that is really the learning how to eat. It's reducing the inflammation in the body. And then from there, if you want to continue, we can go ad hoc. We do just a consultation fee every time. And I recommend staying with me for 3 months so that once you feel like you know how to eat, that you can do this. And that's really designed for somebody who has a kind of entry level understanding of nutrition. They kind of know where they're going, but maybe they have some stubborn weight. They can't quite get things off. They're frustrated. They're like, what the heck? And then our third track is our Quick Start program, which is strictly the GLP-1. And that's really, you're still getting recipes and some of the education stuff. You're not getting it every week. You're getting it kind of on a cyclical basis. You can have a check-in, every 4 to 6, 8 weeks, depending on, where you feel like you are. I'm a little more, again, of a helicopter mom. So a lot of my people, especially like even now, my people who are on that program, I'm always like, did you see success in this? Are we, seeing this? Are we seeing this? Are we seeing this? I want to see those markers of they're actually doing the work so that I don't have to kind of be a little bit like, what, this is not the panacea. And that's another thing I'll say, and that we talked about last night, was that the GLP-1 medications are not a replacement for lifestyle changes.
Right.
So
absolutely.
We've all heard the stories of someone,
even though we would love for it to be.
Yeah.
The magic pill.
Yeah, there's no such thing. There is no such thing. We've all heard the stories of people who take the medication, they lose a bunch of weight, and then they go off and they gain it all back. The reason they gained it back is because they never made the lifestyle changes. They didn't change their eating habits once they stopped taking the medication. They didn't change, maybe they didn't exercise enough. Maybe they didn't really truly make enough change for their body to adjust. And then there are people who are, there's a gal who's online that I follow, and I adore her because she really has fought hard for the health that she has now. She was very heavy. She went on a GLP-1 medication and then she went off, but she had continued to make lifestyle changes. And so she's done all the nutrition changes, and she's worked out, and she is in phenomenal shape, and she's actually lost weight since she's gone off the medications. So you can do it. It can be done, but there has to be a commitment level with that person to say, hey, I want this for the rest of my life. I want this health for the rest of my life. And I think that's the thing that really makes lasting change, is that we say, this is what I want for the rest of my life. I'm still struggling with like this 10-pound kind of place that I've been in, and it's lower than it's been in my life, but it's still a place that I, live in. And it's just the reality of my life. I'm older. I have pre-existing health stuff. I have, I'm postmenopausal. So my body is way more insulin resistant. It wants to hold that weight. It wants to go back up to that 10-pound height, where I don't like to be. And that's just the reality of what I'm doing. So my goals for moving forward are that, and I've been here, this is not new information, but being more consistent in the gym, kind of really recomping my body. And that takes time. Realistically, to recomp your body takes anywhere between 1 to 3 years, depending on how consistent you are with your workouts. So, when we're talking about going through an 18-week program, that's not the end of it. You're not then suddenly at your goal weight and it's like, great, I can go back to normal. No, this is the rest of your life.
Yeah.
So the 2250 is a small investment over the course of your life. If you weigh that, if you look at that and you measure out how many times you've gone on a weight loss program, most people have spent that, and more on weight loss. And for us, medications are cheaper than what they are from direct pay from the manufacturers, but they're not inexpensive. Our starting is $2.99, and then it goes up from there depending on dose. But we also do things that you can't do with the commercially prepared stuff. So ours is compounded, and what we're doing is we're actually able to microdose, we're able to split doses, we're able to tweak doses, we're able to half dose, we're able to really look at how is your body responding. And then we're also not going to titrate people up every month. A lot of times people think, oh, I need more. No, actually, we want to tweak your food. We want to see what's going on. And I want to see that there's at least a whole month that you've lost nothing. Then I'm going to titrate you up.
Okay.
And it's very we're very conservative on the dosing, because what they've seen in all of the clinical studies now that these medications have been used for weight loss for a while is that the longer that you're on the medication and at a lower dose and you're still having response, the better. If someone titrates up really fast and then they're stuck at that high dose and they're not losing, then they've, completely blown out their metabolism. So then usually what happens is you have to titrate down or reduce your dose and then restart. Yeah. And, I made that mistake early on with these medications when they were first available. I was like, get me up higher. I want to go higher. I want to go higher. And that's not the answer.
And I've heard people get really sick on some of the GLP-1 brands that are out there as well. And
so there's side effects are directly related to how your body responds. Some people do really great on a semaglutide. Some do great on tirzepatide. It really depends. If we're seeing nausea, typically, and this is not, unique to me saying this, it is usually with the semaglutide. So I like to prescribe tirzepatide because I feel like that has a little less side effects. The other thing you'll notice is like, when is that person prescribing? When is that person administering the medication? What are they doing before and after that? How are their eating habits? All of that plays a huge role in whether or not you're going to have those side effects. And that's part of the secret of working with somebody like me, is that I've done a lot of the mistakes already so that you don't have to. And I'm coaching you through, like, if you do the quick start program, or if you do the medication with our other plan tracks, then you actually have the option to have, I give you a tips and tricks. I give you all the things that I know help and work with the medications, and we monitor that closely. I have a gal now who was on a different telemedicine program before, and she was having a lot of side effects. She went off, and now she's with me, and she hasn't had near as many side effects. And the other thing to note is that it's really important when you're on these medications to disclose all of your health history. So if you have a low motility of digestion already and you're not disclosing that, then we can't help you maintain your bowel function, and you're going to get constipated. So we need to know. It's not just, oh, I want to start this and I'm okay, and here's my labs. Like, I need to know actually what's going on under the hood. And it's not just me. It's like, we have a nurse practitioner, and that's the goal, is that she is medically supervising what's actually going on. So if you're not disclosing some of the impacts of whatever pre-existing health conditions you have, we're going to see some failure. We're going to see some increased side effects. And if you're not sharing that with us, we can't help you. Yeah. So it's really important that people understand, like, this is a collaborative process and approach to your health goals.
Yeah. You know me, I'm a list guy. So I'm going to make a list here. Before start, I'm sold. But I want to do a little bit of comparison, but then also just kind of go through the list. Mm-hmm. With all of the offerings, you get measurable results. So you get a way to measure how you're...
If you're compliant.
Or like a glucose monitor for...
The glucose monitor comes with the full 18 weeks.
Okay.
So if you want to add that to the 8-week reset, it's an adjunct. So there's a fee associated with that. If you want to add it to the Quick Start program, it's an adjunct. There's a additional fee associated with that.
Okay. The other part is the meal plan or recipes that's included with that, which is great. And they're created by somebody who's actually been on GLP-1, because I have heard that there are lots of different types of foods when you're on a GLP-1 that might not sit too well with the body. So anyway,
it depends. Like, there is something called food aversion that happens with the GLP-1 medications, and it can happen. You can go through a cycle where your body just doesn't like a certain thing. Like, for me, it was like I couldn't have chicken sausage to save my life. It just wouldn't sit in my belly. But it really depends on what's going on. And the recipes that we have are designed for, they're actually designed for the nutrition part of it more than really the GLP-1. The food order that we eat in is designed to work with the GLP-1. So that And that's, again, not unique to me, but it is absolutely unique in this setting, in that I'm really using that as a big foundational piece. We're using that kind of reduction in inflammation as a key foundational piece to the program. And those are things that I found both in my beta testing of this program and then in my own personal journey, that those things were really impactful. And so those do and are a one size fits all. But most of the time, what we do isn't really one size fits all. I'm going to give everybody the same recipes, but if someone's vegan, they may or may not find some of these useful, and there's ways to adapt. I do have, some options as far as vegan options and vegetarian options in the program. I also have meat, but I'm going to give you the whole list, and then you're going to decide, or we're going to decide together what things are good for you to eat, okay. And you can say, I don't like this. Okay. So then eat the other things that are on there.
That's good.
Yeah.
Last two things on my list. You get coaching for all three.
Mm-hmm.
It's fairly limited on the GLP-1 only.
Everybody gets a 15-minute check-in.
Okay.
That's available once a week. And I have on our studio website, I have those times, my availability on there. And then if you're in the 18-week program, then we're going to want to do a little bit longer, especially at the onset, as you're walking through stuff and learning, what you need. And so that program has a little more access to me. But of course, my time is limited, because, I'm teaching and also doing this. So the other thing that happens is that I do have some in-office hours available. We have a Facebook support group that, depending on who's on the track, that's active or not really active. It just depends on how many people we have going through at the time, because what we found is like peer support is really important, in succeeding, and people knowing that they're not alone going through something, I think is really helpful.
Yeah. Last thing, most important thing to me, do we get free Pilates classes?
No. No.
But at least we know one of the instructors, right?
The name of the business is Exquisite House Pilates and Wellness. So this is the wellness track. The plan is the wellness track. It's our functional nutrition program. And then the Pilates is Pilates. So if someone wants to do both and they're in the Richmond area, they're welcome to do that. We do give a discount if someone does a combo. But for the most part, they are two separate things.
Okay. Yeah. That's all I have.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
No, hey, thank you. And our dog that likes to think that she's the Cheshire Cat.
Yes.
Fricky.
Yes.
And of course, there's Fracky right there. Fracky is the good girl. She's not climbing all over the place.
She is the good girl. So for people to get in touch with us, they want to reach out to us via our website, www.theexquisitehouse.com. And you can reach out to me. You can reach out to Kim, who's our sales and service manager. She can set you up with a wellness consult. And her email is info@exhspilates.com. And then you can also reach out to me at heather@exhspilates.com. So really, that's it, you guys. I hope that helps provide the basics and kind of give a little bit of a deeper dive into what the program is about. And I think it was really helpful for Nate to be here and kind of share, I'm not an unsympathetic person, but I am absolutely going to poke a little bit and be like, hey, these are the things I want you to think about. And it's not for my benefit, it's for yours, because this is your journey. This is your wellness practice. And we want you to feel success and feel good in your body. So I'd love to work with you. If you want to, please reach out. Again, theexquisitehouse.com is where you get a hold of us, and tune in for the next podcast interviews. I've got some stuff kind of on deck that I'm really excited about coming for the new year's. Otherwise, enjoy, and I'll talk to you in 2026.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for listening and asking the question, hey, Heather, what about? I hope we inspired you to create a lifestyle for longevity. You deserve it. If something sparked a shift for you today, don't keep it to yourself. Pass it to a friend. Leave us a review to help others find us. Be sure to hit that follow button so you never miss a moment of real talk and real transformation. Ready to start your wellness journey? Visit theexquisitehouse.com to join us in the studio or learn more about The Plan, our signature program for nutrition, movement, and midlife transformation. And remember, keep asking questions. I'll be here with answers.